Good evening, everyone. Today I want to be talking about the company Klarna because I've been looking into it a little bit recently, as well with Sezzle, some of the other payment stocks. It's a really bad day for the payment sector, all in all, but I think that we should be ignoring the short-term price movements because BNPL is a new segment, and a lot of people are going to be having a lot of fear around this segment. Although that we're seeing these negative price movements, I think we should still be strong in our belief for the future of the BNPL sector, and especially for Klarna. I think Klarna actually has one of the best valuations in the BNPL sector right now. And I believe this because we're actually about to be seeing Klarna to go positive for the first time. We did see the profit of 21 million back here at one point for one of the years. I believe it was for 2024. But as we go into look into the future, we actually are seeing that analysts are expecting Klarna to turn a profit into 2026, and this is going to be extremely exciting to see where Klarna is going to place their guidance once they release earnings in 8 days. The popular opinion is that Klarna is going to be beginning to turn a profit, and we could even see Klarna turn a profit if they beat earnings for this coming quarter. And I think that this is actually a really strong possibility because of the growth that we're actually seeing in the BNPL sector. This is a metric that I've brought up several times. The BNPL spend, we see 20 billion in BNPL spend and a 10% year over year growth rate. It's just very strong for the BNPL sector, and this is for the holiday season. Adobe for Business Analytics. The growth is really apparent, and something I also want to point out, which might not be as obvious as at first, is mobile spend is also increasing. I think this is really important to see because this 10% growth rate suggests that companies that are going to be really leaning into the mobile payments are going to be doing very well. And Klarna is doing this with their app. And I think that this means that there's going to be a lot of growth in the future for Klarna. I'm really excited to see that for the company. And something I want to show in relation to the fact that Klarna is likely to turn a profit into 2026 is how Affirm actually reacted to turning a profit. So we take a look at their income statement. We see that Klarna first turned a profit in quarter two of 2025, and before that they had been losing money for a while. And once they actually did turn that profit in quarter two of 2025, we go to statistics. We see that their price to sales ratio went up. We do have this one outlier here and an outlier currently because payments are getting hit pretty hard. But these are the 3 quarters in which Klarna was not profitable, sitting around 4.5 to 6 price to sales ratio. And then once they did become profitable, they're sitting up to around 8. So I think that the possibility for Klarna to turn positive and just the fact that we're really sitting on what feels like a bottom for the payments industry right now, I think there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of fear around fintech right now. I personally am capitalizing on it. And I just want to point this out because there's a lot of fear around BNPL that the consumers are weak and that they're not able to repay their loans. The truth is, BNPL is actually, the loans are often repaid, and they're actually more often repaid than credit cards. Klarna is sitting at around 0.72% provision for credit losses as percent of volumes. Credit cards are actually sitting around 4%, so they're a lot stronger than credit cards just in terms of credit losses. But one metric I want to show you is that 96% of Klarna's paying for customers are paying their bills off early or on time. It shows that people are able to pay these loans off, and the consumer isn't this ultra weak, barely hanging on by a thread consumer that's often being painted by the market. The company is expecting 100 million in transaction margin uplift in quarter four. And now why exactly is this happening? The reason for this is, first of all, because of the holiday spending, right? And we see that we have a strong holiday, which is part of the reason why I believe that we could be seeing positive earnings from Klarna for this quarter, but also because fair financing has really grown for the company over the last few months. And it's an extremely exciting opportunity because this is actually what Affirm focuses on. This is where Affirm's majority of their business lies in, is this fair financing. And it's a really profitable industry because you get to have those interest incomes, right? And then even if you don't have those interest incomes, as I've shown in my other Affirm analyses, you're actually going to have a higher take rate. You're going to have a really high take rate for those 0% loans. Klarna naturally has a very low take rate because of the fact that a lot of their volumes are derived from bigger retailers. So then they have these deals with these retailers that just going to naturally give them a lower take rate. But still, the ability for Klarna to move into these higher margin sectors means that they're going to have a higher take rate into the future. That's my prediction. And we're going to be seeing this 100 million in transaction margin dollars uplift into quarter four, as that compounding revenue kicks in. A lot of fear for the company hovers around the fact that there are the credit losses doubled year over year, and they're actually being sued for this very reason, that credit losses increase at such a high rate. And the belief is that the company didn't disclose this correctly. But I'm okay to see these credit losses now, and as they detail in their report, the fair financing sector is going to have more credit losses, right? At first. And then once you get the revenue from interest income and possible sale of loans, they just signed a $6.5 billion contract. So they're going to be trying to offload some of these loans. You're going to be seeing a lot of the revenues kick in, right? So it's just an investment that Klarna is going to be making, because Klarna often operates with these high capital turnover loans. So as they move into these longer term loans, this is just going to be a consequence of that. This is the last thing I actually want to show, and this actually shows the segmentation of the different offerings, the different product mixes that Klarna has. And we see that 80% of the business is pay later, 7% is fair financing. So it shows that there's a lot less fair financing, but as this grows, we are going to be seeing an increased amount of those provision for credit losses. And I also want to mention that this is for quarter 2, 2025, so the fair financing will make up an even larger portion in that Q3 2025 earnings that I've been showing. But also, I want to mention that a key part of just lending in general, and especially for the fintech sector, is that as you go to your next customer, the next customer that you're going to be lending to that you've never lent to before is inherently going to be more risky than those who you've already lent to. So that's a huge problem that we're seeing with the industry right now. And it's not even a problem, it's just something that's scaring away investor dollars. And because people have a lot of fears with the market right now, it's just hard to evaluate these companies at such a high PE, such a high PS, right? So I think that right now that there's some temporary concerns, but I find a lot of comfort in the fact that in long term, the market's going to be a weighing machine, and that these companies are growing at astronomical rates, and that the turnover is just so strong, and that they're already expanding into these segments. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity with the companies into the future. I don't think that the recent events have shown anything to be concerned of for the long term of these companies. It does suck for shareholders that we're seeing this price action. And while I'm not a shareholder of Klarna or any of these companies that you see here, I am a shareholder of Sezzle, and I do feel your guys' pain. So I hope that you guys enjoyed, and tomorrow I'm actually going to be talking about the Klarna card, because I think the Klarna card is really overlooked, and I think that there's a lot of opportunity with the Klarna card. So if you're looking to see that tomorrow, then if you would like, then you can subscribe, and I thank you all for watching.